from like from one game's DLC to another, it did a remarkable improvement in terms of like the story itself. Like from what I remember, between like the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion and the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, sure Skyrim has less DLCs, but the quality of them have gone down. Or in a weird way, they haven't improved. If I think that's a better way of explaining it. And I don't want to spoil too much of Skyrim, even though like it's a game that's been out for a lot of years. There's a lot of jokes about it, blah blah blah. But I haven't done it for my channel yet, and I don't want to spoil a future series, right? So it's like I don't want to necessarily say too much about it. But I was very disappointed with the DLCs where they didn't give you much of an opportunity at the end of them. So pretty much, you join into like a sort of a war-ish like scenario where one side fights another, pretty much. The good versus the evil, pretty much. And so what happens is that whenever you beat the one side, I was expecting that you get their base of operations, but you would change it to be a base of operations for your side. So let's say if the good defeat the evil kind of thing, you take over the evil base, but you'd make it be a good base, pretty much. Like a good forward base, pretty much. So it's like, instead of you being a one part of the world, now you have two parts of the world that you're in. Ooh, like you have more land advantage kind of thing. No. Like, no, we're deciding to just leave it there. And be nothing. It's like, okay. Okay. But again, though, like, that's just my opinion, though. And I gotta say, though, like, I find though that like I understand like for one thing though, Oblivion's DLCs didn't really do anything. They just added something small in there and just said that's fine. But then again, this is like the early 2000s kind of thing, and I think DLCs were not as common in there as much as you might expect, kind of thing of that like from today's standards in a way. So like from 2006 kind of thing, the fact that you were getting a DLC for a game that was like a AAA title kind of thing was really impressive. And I find that Oblivion did a lot to capitalize on this, especially with, despite the fact that I don't really care for it, uh, like horse armor, like you hear about horse armor, blah blah blah, kind of thing, like being the best DLC possible, kind of thing in terms of like how much money it's earned, but like again, simple things like that. Mind you, horse armor shouldn't really have been a DLC. It should have been a mod that of something to be added. But despite that, it's still good. It's not like a terrible area, but yeah. I'm just gonna name it Water Jimmy. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, I loved all of Oblivion's DLCs. They were all good in their own little way. The only thing that I didn't like about Oblivion's DLCs was that a lot of them were just too basic, or they barely added any new features. Like if you look at it as a whole. Like if you compare it to like the base game of how you got everything, the DLCs just made that process much easier to do rather than just making it more difficult. And I find that that's where the differences sort of go in hand to hand with between the different DLCs, and not just between the different DLCs though, but which ones cater towards what you're doing. if you're going to get any version of Oblivion, get the version that has all the DLCs. Because even if you're not planning on, like, let's say using any of the other locations, like even if you're gonna play as like a mage character kind of thing and you use Frostcrag, still have the Deepscorn Hollow and all that stuff though, just because it populates the world. And isn't that really what you really want in the end, is just the world to be more populated with extra buildings and structures and such? Because that's literally what I look for, to be honest, is that I try to look for things that add more to the world. Okay, am I not descending or something? What? Screw you. Alright, there you go. Perfect. Let's see here. I'll grab this then. Oh, sure, why not? Oh, Blitzel, get out of here. Seriously? There we go. There you go. Come on. Where's the Razor fan, man? But again, though, like I ended up like talking to a friend about it though, like between like both Skyrim and Oblivion though, and I said like, what differences does every DLC give you in terms of like the house mods and such like that, or the house DLCs? Like, which one is worth it? If they were all, let's say, $3 in our currency, pretty much, which is about, we'll say, $2.50 maybe American, or $2 give or take. So it's like if the DLC house was $2, or the first one you buy is $2, which one are you gonna go for? Like if you had to pick a one DLC house to be like the cheapest one you had to buy, which one would it be? And if you want to, explain why. Because I'm very curious though of which one everybody would have chosen. Because from my point of view, each and every one of them has their own point of view of like what a house should provide, or at least like what a cool house that's away from the vanilla, away from the normal game kind of standards are. Like Frostcrag Spire gives you another location to be able to enchant items through the enchanting station or make spells, which is very cool. But one problem with this is that mods could do this anyway, which sort of just like makes you go like, okay, so maybe Frostcrag's not really the best location possible, or not the best one. So let's try and go for another one. All right. Let's go to the pirate one, where it gives you what was it? It gives you a fence. It gives you what was the other one? It gives you a fence. It gives you a way of earning quick money at the beginning of the game, kind of thing. There was another one too. I can't remember what it was. I think you get infamy as well, but I might be wrong about that. And again, same idea though, pretty much. So like what does each and every DLC provide you that gives you pause kind of thing? Like Deepscorn Hollow, for instance, gives you an easy cure to vampirism. It gives you like a cool dagger and stuff like that. Sure, but like at what point does that make it like more worth it than just downloading a mod that has either the same size as those DLCs combined and has all those features built into it? And I'm not saying like my mod or anything like that, but I'm just saying though, like if you were to get rid of those DLCs, could you find a mod that does all this stuff anyway? Yes. That's why the ones that are more interesting is like Knights of the Nine or Shivering Isles, because those are really big ones that sure you can make a mod that is just as big as that, but like you got to remember though that like Shivering Isles is a huge area though, so if a player wants to make an area that's just as big, or even like or just as big, or even like slightly bigger though, how long is it going to take that person to do? And that's the insanity part about it too. That's why for Knights of the Nine Revelations, like sure, that location area that you get to in the middle of the mod itself, you think it's very big, but it's not. It's got less like interior locations kind of thing that you can go for. What you got to understand though, like they are like Lancer was trying to get as close as possible to the original location. So it's like he didn't think of like making the area like he tried to make it as close to one as much as possible, which I applaud him for that. Like that's an amazing sort of like attention to detail for that. And that's why I said though, for like Oblivion mods and such like that, it gets very difficult to find out what's a good quality one and what's just like one that you can tolerate into your mod list. And I find that that's a very like hurtful way to put it. But don't get me wrong, I can understand why people think that way, to be honest. Like I've looked into like other mods and such like that, like in terms of like mod quests and such like that. I've looked through a lot of them, and more than half the time though, I always look into them and say to myself, should I install this? Like what is like if I install this, what am I going to get at the end? Like am I going to enjoy the mod, or is it just going to be something that I could say, you know what, I spent about 2 hours, I liked it. It's like buying a new game. Like I just spent like $20 on this game. Am I gonna like it enough that like this $20 is gonna feel very worth it for it? It's like the same thing with the Pokemon games. Like for Scarlet and Violet, day one, I would have told you no. It doesn't. It doesn't. From everything that I've heard, if I would have suffered the same crashes and issues as everybody else, no, I wouldn't have thought that it was worth the $90 that I would have to have spent on the game itself. But that's just because like how I felt about it though too. And even right now we're like Legends Z8. What? Okay, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. But anyway, yeah, like I don't know what else to say about that, to be honest. Like for Legends EA, I hope that it's going to be very interesting, because if it's just going to be like because if it's not going to be very interesting, then I'm not going to be very much happy about it. Like Legends Arceus, I was happy about it because it was a new game, it was a new style, it was fresh, it was brand new. But if they're just gonna grab like Legends Arceus and just change the location kind of thing, it's like okay, that's kind of boring. Because to be honest, that would be very boring. Oh, come on. Why is everything after me? But yeah, so I'm going to try and spend as much time this week just trying to... pretty much I'm going to spend as much time as I can working on my Minecraft 1.21 base. I was Ooh, Venusaur. I was considering on making it into one of my one of my first live streams kind of thing. But I've chosen against that because of the fact that, like, I don't feel like that's a reason to live stream it. It's just because, like, I want it to be, like, on display kind of thing. I still want it to be a secret more than anything. I still want it to remain, like, as hidden as much as possible, so that, like, when it does show up, everybody's like, wow, he tried to keep it as, like, as cool as possible, but also keep it as hidden as much as possible. Because I really do appreciate it. It's a really cool looking area, and I think that a lot of people would like it. The only thing is that, like, I am not confident with my abilities of playing, well, Minecraft nowadays, right? Oh my word, I don't think we're going to be able to beat the Venusaur. Okay, Gligar, okay. Gligar, acrobatics. Oh, okay. Acrobatics.